100 days of Trump's presidency. What's it mean? I don't know. I was watching a lot of people in my industry freaking out. Oh my God, it's first 100 days. The greatest 100 days in the history of mankind. Never been anything better. Other people out there in the media, it's the worst 100 days. The fact that, that we even have a country anymore is shocking to many. It was 100 days. It moved fast. Comparatively to the last guy, it moved really fast. I mean, it was chaotic speed over these last 100 days, which were his first 100 days of his second term. Some good, some bad. I don't bullshit. You guys know that. I'm going to give you the straight skinny on what I think and kind of give you some grades. We did this a little bit today. I think he's had some swings. I think he's had some misses. I think some of it's too early to tell, kind of some incompletes. You know, we're going to see. But one of the things, he did a rally tonight, and if you guys didn't see, he did a rally tonight in Michigan, and he brought Gretchen Whitmire up. And I think he's got a bit of a crush on her. It's like, hey, come on up, Gretchen. She's like, oh my God, I don't know if I really want to be here. He's like, you're doing a great job. Brought her on stage. But before that, he sat down with Terry Moran in ABC News and did an interview that, you know, here's the beauty of Trump, right? Love him, hate him. You got to give the guy credit. He goes on. He'll talk to anybody, right? Like, yay, come on, let's talk. All right, I'm going to do an interview. Sounds good. So, you know, he called them fake news, as he does. But talked about what his, first 100 days, the achievements and whatnot.
Here in the Oval Office, it's special. 100 days into your second term. So what's the one thing, just one thing, that you think is the most significant thing you've done so far in these 100 days?
Well, I think maybe the border is the most significant because our country was really going bad. They were allowing people to come in from prisons, as you know, and you've heard me say it, but you've heard a lot of people say it. Prisons, mental institutions, gang members, murderers. We had many murderers, 11,888, they think. Some murdered more than one person. So you had murderers coming in, you had everybody coming in, and not just South America, from all over the world. They were emptying their prisons into our country. And now it's totally closed down. And you've seen just yesterday, they announced 99.9%. Nobody thought that could happen. And it happened quickly, very quickly. And I think that's very significant. But we're doing other things that are very significant. Results will take a little bit longer because it's one of those, it's complicated. It's many years of trading abuse. We've been abused by other countries for years and years. They laughed at us. They thought we were stupid people, and we're fixing it. And I think that's going to be very, very important. But
I have a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, I would really say that the border is so important.
And we'll get there. Immigration, huge, and we're going to get there. But I want to start.
Now, immigration, the border, he gets an A++. And it also shows the bullshit of the last administration's who said it. He needed all of this stuff. He needed all of this. He needed comprehensive foreign and billions of dollars to fix the border. He didn't. He needed to enforce laws. He gets an A++ there. And I've said this, from jump when it comes to what happened at the border. Think of the insanity of how many people came across the border, right? So think of it like, wait. You look up and you're like, oh my God, I've put on X amount of pounds. And it's way easier to put that weight on than to take it off. Didn't happen overnight. And it isn't going to happen where we're going to get 20 million people out overnight. And I don't think that's going to happen anyways. I mean, I just think the reality of the size of number, what people contribute to society, what big business and corporations are going to have a say into Trump's world of, we can't afford to do that. But there's no doubt the stopping of the flow of people into this country the way that it was, the unfettered access, is easily his biggest win. All right, so he gets an A on that. The economy, that's the big one. One of the things I've always talked about, and I'll always talk, the economy stupid, right? James Carville said it great. Why does it matter? You win the economy, you'll continue to win over and over and over again. That's what happens. You win the economy, you win it. If the border was very average, didn't stop anything. If all of the other things he wanted to do doesn't happen, but he wins the economy. He gets the economy back up and running. He sees inflation come down. He wins whatever trade wars are going on, and the stock market's booming and everything's great. People have jobs and disposable income and they're saving. Guess what happens? All the other stuff nobody cares about. If you solve all the other problems, but you don't win the economy, you're done. It's always been that way. And it'll always be that way. And so much of what he is trying to do, which quite frankly, I'll be honest, I was watching Dave Smith earlier today and they were talking about it. I don't know what some of the stuff is they're trying to do. I don't know. I don't know which tariffs are on, which tariffs are out. I got a buddy who works in Long Beach at the harbor, and which is, the LA harbor. And he's like, I couldn't tell you. What I do know is that, things are slowing down and you're not seeing the giant, huge cargo ships coming in and dropping off their stuff from China in particular. I think there's going to be a slowdown in certain times of the economy, which, look, that happens, ebbs and flows. Usually every 7-ish years, you get some sort of slowdown, but it's how you react to that and what's it look like on the other side. But as far as the economy, this is the thing. You got to win the economy. And that's one of the things that Terry Moran from ABC talked to him about.
You said something a couple weeks ago that struck me. You said concerning the tariffs, which economists say are going to raise prices, you said, quote, hang tough. Yeah. It won't be easy. You said that to the American people. Is that what Americans should expect, some hard times?
I've said that during my campaign. Look, we won a campaign by a lot. We won all 7 swing states. We won the popular vote by a lot. We had a tremendous campaign. I said all of these things during my campaign. I said, you're going to have a transition period. We've been ripped off by every country all over the world. They're laughing at us. They thought we were stupid people, and we were. And I said, that's not going to happen. We're not going to let that happen.
Hard times are ahead?
I don't think so. I think great times are ahead. Look, since I came in, gasoline is down, groceries are down, egg prices are down, many things are down, just about everything. You don't have the drop in fuel and energy and oil like we did. I took it from maybe $3.20, maybe more than that, down into a much lower number. When you have that kind of a drop, you're not going to have inflation.
Not now, but it's the tariffs, right? We still have 145% tariffs on China. Your Treasury Secretary said we basically have an embargo.
And this is where the economy right now, you can almost grade this as give it an incomplete C, because we don't know where it's going to go. And it's going to take a while for what he's trying to do. And I said the other day, and I'll say it again, if we're going to take China on, then take it on. And as long as you're with the people, and this is what I've said, you speak to the people. You tell them, look, man, this could be a bit of a shit show for a while. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to BS you. We could be having some issues here. There could be some problems where we see a slowdown here and there. Some prices may go up, but the long-term goal is we've got a country that this isn't so much even about our economy, but the long-term future of freedom of the West. And we need to do this now or else. Be honest with people. Tell everybody where you are and why you're doing it. When you're not transparent, it's when people get a little, I don't know what I believe. So we're going to find out what it looks like. The beauty of America is freaking America, baby. Right? For all the terror, here's something you probably don't hear elsewhere, but I give you everything here. For all the quote unquote, we've got a deficit here and we got a trade deficit here. We have a service surplus to a vast majority of the globe. What does that mean? We have, because our services, so think financial services, insurance, software, things of that nature, people owe us billions of dollars. So we have quite a good service side of things. That's good, including China, by the way, that we have a surplus with them when it comes to a lot of this stuff. This isn't going to be easy, but don't confuse people. Be with them. If times are going to be a little rocky at times, be honest and don't bullshit them. And I know for a lot of people out there, they're fine. They're like, yeah, just feed me. We don't care. Well, drink the Kool-Aid. No, don't do that. Because if you're honest with people and say, look, we're going to have some bumpy times, right? It's like, don't be the pilot goes, it's going to be a smooth flight, and then you fly through a hurricane, right? Do the things you said you were going to do. Be transparent about it. Doesn't mean everything's going to work, right? Doesn't mean everything's going to work. But I will tell you, politics is an interesting thing, as you guys know. And one thing we are as human beings, as Americans, as American voters, we can be fickle. Even when things are good, we don't always like that one side has all the power. And in midterms, we've been known to go, we'll take a little bit of that away from you. So you've got to pick and choose. Because the one thing Trump understands is if we lose the House and the Senate, one or both, we're going to see 2 years of do nothing, which is pretty much what we have already. But the difference is those 2 years by the Democrats are going to be do something, which is investigate, and do everything they can to figure out, can they impeach him again and not just run out the clock? So that's why I'm interested to see what happens when it comes to not just the economy, the way he handles tariffs, the way he goes about being transparent in this. And finally, the last one that we're going to look at is DOGE. Because of all the things I think I was most excited about, but I knew in my heart, and I said it from day one, Elon Musk will get to Mars and populate it in a much easier way than he will fighting the bureaucracy of what is DC.
Elon Musk and
the
DOGE.
federal government.
Everyone knows that there's wasteful government spending. It's really important. But the cuts have had some serious consequences. There have been cuts to foreign aid programs that save lives and keep people alive overseas. There's been research at the National Institutes of Health on cancer, on Alzheimer's, that has had to be stopped. And the question I think people have is, did DOGE go too far, too fast, too reckless?
No, I think DOGE has been, saved $150 billion. We saved, that's a lot of money. There's also a lot of things right now under investigation, which is going to increase that amount by a lot. That's a tremendous amount of money. There were some things where, when I heard about them, I put them back, as you know. There are things that I'm considering right now putting back, but overall we've saved hundreds of billions of dollars.
Well, the original promise was $2 trillion, went to $1 trillion, now to $150 billion, and heading south.
You don't know what it's going to be because we have things that are at a very high level that are being looked at right now. We also found tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse, as you know. We found a lot of fraud. There was a lot of fraud. Fraudulent things were taking place, and we ended that, and those people are going to be suffering because of it.
A legal note, fraud is a crime. There have been no referrals to the Justice Department on any of
Well,
these.
you don't know.
Well, there hasn't been any referrals as of yet. We do know that because we would have heard about it. By the way, $2 trillion went to $1 trillion, went to $160 billion. Now, I'm going to give you guys the breakdown from this because I like numbers and it's easy. Out of that $2 trillion that went down to $1 trillion, that went down to $160 billion, which is, yeah, it's a lot of money, but it's not really a lot of money when you think about the amount of money we spend and waste. The expense of implementing DOGE initiatives, including rehiring and putting some of these things back in place, could cost another $135 billion, therefore offsetting essentially the entire thing as a push. Now, here's something else. For all the stuff we talk about with Trump, guess who else got voted in? The Republicans in the Senate and the House. And they've done shit. They haven't done anything. And while everybody's running around, they talking about DOGE, look at all the great stuff they're here. Look at this, that, and the other. Well, guess what? A lot of that stuff has to be the purse strings, which is Congress. Congress has done nothing. Then we find out today, hey, this big, beautiful bill is pushed out potentially to July 4th week. They did a continuing resolution. So all the stuff DOGE was supposed to get rid of, they just refunded again. It is frustrating. I give DOGE an A for effort, but an F for execution. And we know there's all kinds of waste. Mostly it's waste and bullshit. And the fraud, if you will, is all of the organizations that people set up. So like your sister would go, hey, I'm going to set up a nonprofit. Kick me, $30 million and I'll hire 8 people in Africa to teach kids how to read. And then we'll pocket the rest of it. We'll call the Rainbow Fund Reading Room. And that stuff is ridiculous. We recognize that. That's the fraud. That's the abuse. But was there enough? No, because if we're going to get serious about cutting this giant, huge debt we have to be honest, and we have to look at the entitlement programs and the 3 biggies. We're going to have to look at, things like, yes, what's going on with our defense, as well as Medicare and Medicaid. And that includes potentially raising taxes, as well as taking off the cap in certain areas, raising certain ages. There's going to be a lot of things if we're serious about it. And that's a big if. But yeah, I was excited for DOGE, and my big excitement, actually, it worked the way I thought it was. I think at the end of this, I think what we realized is when people talk about deep state, this, that, and the other, bureaucracy is the worst of the deep state because it's awful. It is. And the length it takes to do anything, the amount of steps you have to go through, and the fact that in so many cases, this stuff is just run on, programs from the 1980s, and we are not living in the 21st century. And that was a frustrating thing. And I think DOGE, a lot of that stuff they wanted to do, again, streamline. It's not about firing people. It's about streamlining. It's about cutting. It's about becoming more efficient, more effective for the American people. So again, A for effort, but an F in overall execution, which is not Elon's fault. The reality is, I think he did everything he kind of wanted to do, but in truth, you're dealing with a beast, and that beast is the U.S. government. And those people, I always tell everybody, those people that work in D.C. like that, you know what they are? They're not renters. They're buyers, meaning they're there forever. They plant roots. They're there forever. And so when you plant roots like that, it's tough to get that out of the ground. We'll see. But Congress, do your job. Do your job. Because you've done nothing. You continue to do nothing. And even though his numbers aren't great, which I don't expect them to be great, we're at a position in this country where 40% on this side will always have a disdain for one side. 40% on this side will always have a disdain for the other side. And the 20% in the middle, you and I and this exhausted majority, we need to sit back, judge stuff based on actual actions and outcomes and not based in red and blue. Fun tonight. Sorry, it's a little bit late. I took my little one to gymnastics. She's sick. She was out there doing the thing. Look at me, that's what matters, right? So I tell everybody, you know what matters to me? That most important thing, having fun, watching her face light up as she does like a little flip in the whole 9 yards. It was awesome. I can't do flips. I look out there and think, man, when I was young, I'd do a flip all day. Now I was like, I fall down. I may stay down. You guys have a blessed rest of your night. 6 to 9 Pacific, 9 to noon East Coast. Grab the podcast, like and subscribe and share here. Tomorrow, we're going to do something very interesting. Jason Whitlock is going to show. We're going to do a podcast, and we're going to play that tomorrow. So that'll be fun. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, including the fact that he says Sinners, which is that new movie that's out with Michael B. Jordan, is a movie about race and vampires and all kinds of interesting things. And I'm like, oh, I'm interested to talk about that. But we're going to talk about a lot of different things, including Trump, all of this stuff that's going on, and Father. So we're going to do that tomorrow with Whitlock. You guys have a great night. We'll do it again soon. Make sure you grab the podcast and check out